Oh, woo, we're live.
We're live.
Beresford, I can't wait for the weekend to begin. Did I get my bowl of... Oh, yeah. Do you got a bowl of cereal there, Dylan? Eat your cereal on stream just to drive people nuts. Poseidon's in here. Who else we got in here? SR375. Nice. Singing a song and text. Beresford Productions, how's it going? Rick on mic. Happy Friday. You know what? Since I started doing this full time, day of the week doesn't matter anymore. Day of the week actually only matters for when I have to do my other job, which is like editing of a podcast, which is Sunday, Monday. Other than that, though, every day feels the same now. Mondays don't have a vibe anymore. There's no like weird Monday vibe. It's kind of awesome.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. We do have a lot to discuss today. We got 5 people in here. Cool. All right, guys, we have a lot to discuss. There was a bunch of releases this week. I only did a video on the one which kind of went a little wild there. Even Mackie messaged me. They're like, holy crap, dude. How'd you get so many views on that video? I'm like, oh. I went to sleep, woke up, and it was like over 10K. I was like, what the hell? That first video to ever get 10K in 24 hours. By the way, under 12 hours, 10K. Very, very cool. Very humbled by that. That's awesome. Like seeing that kind of stuff is really, really cool.
Especially when you don't know what's going to happen. When you don't like plan for it.
Especially when it's just like a roundup video. So one of the things I love, I like to do videos that I like to watch. I'm a big tech nerd. I love when there's an announcement about tech, whether it's the new Apple product, the new this product, the new that product. When there's an announcement, I like to see some of my favorite YouTubers do videos about the announcement to talk about, oh my God, look at this. This is cool. This is going to be awesome. I don't know why I like that. I like it. So I do videos like that. And the Mackie announcement came out and it blew me away because there's a lot of cool stuff in there. And I'm like, yeah, so it took me an hour to write the video. And it took me about an hour and a half to record and edit and put the video out. So we're talking 2.5 hours tops. One of the best turnarounds I've ever had in a video. And that's the video that gets 10K in under 12 hours. I take 3 weeks to do another video and it gets like, it's a 10 out of 10. Nobody's watching it. I do the drum video. Oh my God. But that video, and it's cool to see. It's obviously people are excited to see what Mackie's going to be bringing out. More views than the previous 7 of 8 videos combined. It's so true. Jeb Josh, how's it going? Sir Aiden. One day. And the one more thing from Apple. Yeah. It's something about, there's some sort of like childlike Christmas morning about the announcements. It's really cool to see. And Beresford, you're right. Like, I know the beginning of the year is rough. The beginning of the year for any tech YouTube is usually pretty slow. This one has been incredible. I don't think I remember a January where we've had this many announcements. It's like everybody's jumping on. It's the big announcement why I'm quitting YouTube. Yeah, it seems to be a big thing right now too. A lot of people getting done in by the stress. I don't have that stress because I don't feel stressed to make videos. Like I don't feel like, oh my God, I actually still like enjoy the prospect of making videos. And I understand why certain people are going through that because there's this algorithm chase that everyone kind of brings up, this algorithm chase, right? And a good example is what I just went through where I had all these views pop in on a Mackie video. What the algorithm chase would be is me doubling down on that. And the very next day going, okay, here's some more Mackie for you. And then here's some more Mackie for you. And like day after day, and you just keep pumping out the stuff that gets the views. And it works, but it's also kind of, I don't know, slimy. I'll put content out when I think there's valuable content for people to listen to or to watch. I don't think going hardcore for just content farming kind of deal, which it ends up being whenever you try to ride the algorithm, you end up just like trying to farm content. Like I had a video from a couple years back. The first video Dylan helped me with was the SM58 versus the SM7B. It's one where Dylan actually takes apart the SM58 to show, I can't remember exactly how it went, but that one did really well. And I could have just kept hammering the SM58 versus SM7B, but it kind of kills it after a little while.
Well, yeah, it loses some authenticity too, right? I mean, there's You've got a brand, you've got a personality, and part of that personality is what you choose to make content on. And so if you sacrifice that, it's a big part of, what makes a channel tick.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like you have to make that decision early on. And there's nothing against people that want a content farm because there's some people that will just watch that content over and over. Computer peripherals are bad for that, like graphics cards. When they announce new graphics cards, you can have 3 months worth of content 3 times a week based on just that announcement of the graphics cards. And while it's cheap and it gets you a lot of views, it gets you a lot of subscribers. God, man, there's only so much you can do. And then when the graphics cards get released, there's all these charts you can do. And yeah, it's pretty bad. I'm looking up something. Streamer X. So somebody just said that the Mackie streaming box is limited to 1080p. And I'm pretty sure the Streamer X is 4K. I don't know, I Like It UK, if the Mackie streaming box is only 1080. I'm actually going to look that up right now because doesn't say mainstream. Yo. The stuff that they released. Actually, I can share this screen here. Let me actually do that while I'm looking through this. Yeah.
There you go.
HDMI in through 1080 by 60 FPS or 4K at 60 FPS. So your HDMI pass through of your monitor is 4K at 60, which means your games can be 4K at 60. It's your HDMI input with a video capture. So that would be HDMI with a camera like this one is 1080 60 FPS, or HDMI pass through for your monitor 4K. Oh, so I guess your stream is only at 1080 60. That does kind of suck. Yeah, well, that's a boo-boo. You get mixed up and all that stuff. It's a 4K 60. I saw 4K 60. I'm like, okay, that's fair. But it's just the HDMI pass through for your monitor. That's kind of rough. Maybe they can update that. If you can get 4K pass through, you should be able to get 4K on your video capture. That's too bad. No regrets. Oh yeah, Liberty Dude, here for some stress. Perform. You know what? I don't stress anymore. I don't know what it is, Dylan. I don't know if you've seen any of my stress regards to this channel. I get stress when stuff is sent to me and I need to get it out. Like I do have some stuff sitting on my shelves that I haven't done a video for. That does cause me a little bit of stress, but I don't stress about the content, man.
Yeah.
I'm not like, if I have a 10 out of 10 video, I don't give a shit. And
Yeah,
you
you only stress about the politics, like maintaining the good relationships by doing nice things for the people that give you nice things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be that kind of stuff. Like, but I also enjoy that kind of stuff. Like, I enjoy the romancing of things like that, and kind of talking with people. But when it comes to the final product, if I'm releasing a video that y'all don't want to watch, I don't like, oh my God, I need to rebound. It doesn't stress me out whatsoever. This isn't my main source of income. It's a good source of income, but I am also expanding another business on top of this that is just as successful, makes a little bit more money. So I'm not killing myself. How many of us watching this on a 4K display? That's a good question. This is a 1080p camera, so I can't even run 4K on this.
Yeah, I'm on a 4K display, but I'm in a 1080p mode.
Yeah,
on it because Pro Tools doesn't scale well to 4K screens.
No, see, I've got a 4K 43 inch. When 4K, the only reason I do stuff in 4K is because it's 43 inch. When you have a 43 inch monitor at 1080,
Yeah, no.
like
Yeah.
it's pretty rough. But at 4K, it's perfect. But I also don't watch video games blown up on the screen. I watch in the YouTube, kind of the box, the YouTube screen, which is about the size of a 19-inch monitor on my 43 inch, which 1080p is perfectly fine for that. I don't need that. So I know a lot of people like 4K for that stuff, but I do know that you can stream at 4K and then downsample to 2K. But all of the streamers I watch are at 1080. There's one guy that I watch, Brian Menard. He actually streams at 2K, which is perfectly fine. I don't have an issue with that.
I only got the 4K screen on my end, and it was pricey. Like I actually didn't think it was going to be as crazy as it was. Considering most TVs now are 4K, at least worth buying. It's I got it for my camera.
Yeah.
Like my camera shoots 4K, and so I said, okay, well, do I need it for editing? But it would be nice to see the details that I'm getting out of it without having to mix it down and watch it on my TV.
Well, the big thing about shooting in 4K is, so I will never put out a 4K video. I will only put out 1080p.
Oh yeah,
maybe
well
2K.
you're cutting in and you're
Yeah.
doing
So if you're zooming in on something, for example, with this scene, this has actually been a problem for me because I have to tear down this whole scene every time I have to do a product shot, or if I have, because this is my only camera. So this scene kind of changes just a little bit. The camera's a little bit off to one side the next time, or it's a little higher. And that's just because everything's mobile in here. Like I'm moving shit around constantly. And every once in a while, this rack, you can see this rack here. I'll see, this is a rack with all the gear on it that I've got a ton of stuff on it for reviews. That every once in a while sneaks into the side of my videos. So I just want to punch in a little bit. The problem with 1080p is as soon as you punch in 10%, you've lost 10% of the pixels out of 1080p. And people notice that. And then if you want to do a punch in on the face for something funny, ooh, does it get grainy. So 4K for that, or even for doing music videos, dude. Like when you're doing a music video, if you don't quite like the framing of the shot, you can reframe it.
Yeah, you can adjust. Yeah, it is nice.
It's a hell of a deal.
Now,
Rick,
in my case, my camera has this fun quirk where it goes down to like micro 4/3, like double crop, and I hate that.
Yeah, you got to put the camera in another room just to get a wide shot.
Like I've got a 50 mil lens, which is not DX crop, right? So
yeah,
I end up even a 50, which I love the look of it. You've seen my
50, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got the 50 1.4. Yeah, it's buttery smooth.
It's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the same time, I've got to shoot from literally across the room. I'm using it here for my YouTube shot, and you've seen about what the framing of that. Like it's head and shoulders, and the camera's 15 feet from my head.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, as you get like with this, the 1.8 I use with the Sigma, this is like I can touch the camera for where I'm sitting, and I've got a
nice. Yeah, I like that.
Then the next camera, I'm actually buying it. I've decided I'm getting the Sony A7C II.
Oh, nice.
With the 20 millimeter 1.8 or the 24 millimeter 1.4. I'm not exactly sure. Depth of field, I think the 20 millimeter is going to give me the depth of field, but it's a wide ass shot.
You know what the funniest thing though about using a 50 in the DX, the biggest problem, funnily enough, it is something that people wouldn't inherently think of, but particularly when you're doing talking head style videos, or any like properly lit video, you're like drowned in light and the camera's 20 feet away from you. So you lose track where the hell the camera is while you're talking. So you go back and you look at the footage, you're like, why am I looking around? It's like, oh, because I keep coming back to a different place. And so I actually took little like fluorescent, like white pieces of electrical tape and put them on the four corners of the.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, of the sunshade. So now I could just see these four dots, and I'm like, okay, if I look in the middle of those four dots, always, and that,
it's a problem.
Yeah.
Rick says, I remember hearing Howard Stern talk about how he was a slave to the quarter-hour ratings when he was in regular radio. Feeding the algorithm is just the evolution of that. Yeah, from a popularity perspective, we don't have quarter-hour ratings in Canada. We might in Toronto.
We do. We just don't care about them as much.
Yeah, probably not. We have drive time. I've never been a slave to that either. I don't. This is the content, right? Like if you want something different, you're gonna have to get it somewhere else.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, Cume is a big one here. Cume is something that people are looking at, and TSL, time spent listening. I mean that's huge. If you can find a way especially as a jock, keep listen for your entire show. Holy shit, you will be worth gold.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Let's catch up really quick here. Liberty, how's the Dylan Purple hair campaign going?
I have completely forgot about that.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't even. It's funny. As soon as you said, I'm like, oh yeah, that.
I'll actually pay for the dye if you do it. Don't worry. I'll buy the dye. So, by the way, crowdfund if you want to see Dylan dye his hair some color. Uh, once he says yes, don't send money yet. Don't
Yeah,
send.
don't.
He's got to say yes.
Then I'll feel bad.
Unless you just want to send me money, that's perfectly
Yeah,
fine
that's
as
totally
well.
fine. Yeah, just send us money for the sake of sending us money.
Steve, on a 4K display, but set to 1080. Otherwise, I can't read the text. No kidding. So I'm on the Apple laptop, and the resolution on this laptop is ridiculous. I don't even know what the exact resolution is, but everything is so freaking small. And I'm getting to the age where I do need actual transitions in my glasses because I have to lift my glasses up to read stuff
Like
that is at
bifocal
a
or
certain
something.
distance.
Yeah.
They're called transitions now because they're not technically, but anyways.
They're not like one to the other. It's like a smoother kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm this small writing is starting to kill me. Jeb Josh wants to know what cameras do you guys use and lenses? You're going to be disappointed by both of us, Jeb Josh. We're very entry level.
Yeah.
I have a Canon T7i for my camera here. The difference, and this is the big thing about it, is not the camera, it's the lens. I have $1,000 18 to 20 or 18 to 35. It's a Sigma 18 to 35 1.8. It's like the YouTube lens, and it's for Canon cameras. And I'm getting an A7C, Sony A7C with a 20 millimeter 1.8. Dylan, what's your setup?
Well, right now on the stream, it's a friggin' 1080p webcam. But aside from that, because I don't have Aiden's lucky that he can have a camera that can stay on for longer than 20 minutes without the sensor needing to cool the hell down.
I'm surprised mine does, to be honest.
Yeah, it is kind of surprising. Plus, yeah, I mean, if I could get around that, I could use so my actual camera. And this is out of necessity. This is not because I'm a video guy. I can make a video that's decent, but I only learned how to do that because I needed to. But I'm using a Nikon D7500 with a 50 mil 1.4 on it, and it's good. I like it. It works well. It works well. I get some really good shots, like when I'm taking shots for album art and stuff. I can get some really artistic bokeh. Yeah. And then I've got a kit lens that came with the D7500 that was like, I don't know.
Niz. I use Sony APS-C cameras with Sigma 16 millimeter 1.4. Damn, that's lots of bokeh. Hoping to get a Sony full frame with Sony 24 millimeter 1.4. Expensive, but I think it's worth it for talking heads. With full frame, so the F value is also times point when you're Sony APS-C, so it's times 1.5. So that 1.4 ends up being a 2.3 or whatever. A 1.8 ends up being a 2.8. So if you get the Sony 24 with f1.4, it's going to be like super, especially shooting at 1.4, you're going to find that like the area of in focus is going to be so small for talking head videos. And if you're moving around a lot and you have to keep fixed focal length.
Well, I told you about that. Like I have a really nice setup behind me here that's very colorful and eye-catching, but not too much so. And I was like, okay, so distance myself from that background and it looked really good. But the problem is I moved 2 inches and I'm out of focus. The width of field.
The depth of field. Yeah, it's hard to catch up with.
Field is just too. So I ended up clamping it down. I think I ended up bringing it down to like 4.5, which is hilarious because that's basically my kit lens.
Yeah.
And it kind of killed some of the bokeh that I like, but at least I could.
Yeah,
I don't have to be on this perfect perpendicular plane and like, oh no, one shoulder's out of focus and the other one's not. What do I do?
Yeah, and a full frame 1.8 is going to give you a very good depth of field. It's up to you though. If you want 24 millimeter, give her. It's going to be very, very creamy behind you. That's for sure. Just moved from Sony APS-C to full frame, expensive, but I was already using Neffy lens, which helped out with the cost. Yeah, I'm moving from Canon to Sony, which is going to suck. Because the lens I have is actually an APS-C lens. It's not meant for full frame cameras. So there would be it would literally be cropped anyways if I tried to use it. Camille, hi from the Netherlands. How's it going, Camille? Many people say that 4K streaming is not a thing. That is all exaggerated, but it isn't exactly a coping mechanism. They want it, but have invested too much in HD or have not yet been able. There's a lot of, so in order to stream at 4K isn't an easy task. Like it's, you need to actually have a very good computer setup or a secondary computer for this streaming.
Well, and an incredibly robust network.
Yeah.
You know, most people, the uplink speed would have a hard time, you know, without some serious compression to keep up with that.
Yeah. And like there's areas of the world that don't have, like they have download, they do not have upload. So yeah,
No.
like it is exaggerated. However, for the average person not being able to utilize 4K because they don't have a monitor, or not for the average person unable to buffer 4K because they don't have the internet.
Yeah, the quality, there's no question. The quality is much better, but from a business standpoint, you're past the point of diminishing returns. 1080p is still the sweet spot. Most people probably won't even notice because they're on a display that's either too small to notice or they're, you know.
Well, and that's it. That's just it. Like, unless you're watching on, like, I like big displays, so I kind of have to, but I also have fiber optic right to my desk. Like, it's fiber optic right up to my computer. So that helps. That helps a lot. SR375. This is an interesting one that a lot of people pick up on. Honestly, the iPhone continuity camera works great. Yes. If you're starting a YouTube channel right now, start with your phone. If you don't have money for a camera and all that, most people don't care.
Yeah, now, I get the cameras on these are actually pretty good for.
Yeah, I get compliments on my visuals, and most of this is lighting and a lens. But yeah, most people aren't going to care as long as you can provide content to them that is valuable. They won't care about what it looks like. They'll enjoy it as you upgrade the look, but they don't care if you're giving them value. That's all they want. Camille, looking for the 85 millimeter 1.2 this year. You'll be able to see a pimple on a bug's ass. That's cool. I always wanted to get into that. I've gotten out of photography since I started all this because I just don't have time. But in a perfect world, I would get back into it, get all the lenses for that. So
yeah.
I have a computer Noctua fan blowing on the back of my cameras. You can get a USB 5-volt version of the fan. It's basically silent, and I can run my Sony camera for over 2 hours. Damn.
Nice.
That's a rig. Hey, whatever works. I don't know what it's gonna be like when I get the Sony. I might keep this for streaming, this camera, because who really cares? But yeah, I'm not sure what, like, the Sony does have. Oh, and if you keep it 1080, I don't think it's gonna be a problem. It's when it's 4K, it starts to get it gets pretty gross. Streaming in 12K. Damn, Camille. My dream camera is an FX9 DMC FZ200. Yeah, that's a decent dream camera right there. Image quality. Okay, so let's just jump through this. We got some stuff to talk about. Now I have to get a pimple on a bug's ass out of my head. You're welcome, Steve. So what's the lighting setup like? If the cameras don't matter that much, you have very cool video footage, as much as I can remember watching your videos. Lighting setup's pretty simple. I've got a Amaran. Oh God, what is it called? Amaran 100D, this way, with a softbox on it, and I have an Amaran 60D with a softbox on it. Together, they're about $800 Canadian. So whatever that is. Now we got to get to this stuff. So Dylan, did you see much of the content that was being released, or the stuff that they're releasing this week? Mackie, Presonus, even Shure got in on it. Have you seen some of this?
Nope.
Okay, so Mackie released, or they announced 5 different products. They announced the small version of the DLZ Creator. It's the Mackie DLZ Creator XS. Mackie Mainstream, which is basically the Streamer X, but with Mackie and what are my dogs doing? I like the stream mainstream. It actually looks a lot. I think it looks cooler than you can see it here. I think it looks cooler than the Streamer X. I'm not playing favorites here because technically Mackie and Rode are under the same umbrella, but this does look pretty cool. I think.
That's a neat looking fella.
they introduced the Showbox. This is a full live setup in a box.
Nice.
This is kind of a take it anywhere PA that has its own breakaway panel. You can use the box as an amp sim. You can record from it. Like, this is a really like a busker's dream. This, I kind of want one of these, even though I don't do live, but this would allow you to basically, you could power up a band with this thing, like a small band, not a full band, but a small band with this thing. I kind of like it. Next up, they announced the Mackie Mobile Mix. Something that a lot of people have been getting away from are just basic mixers. Everything's an interface these days, Dylan. This is a USB powerable mixer, so you can power it with a battery bank. Yeah, it's got stereo line inputs, EQ effects. This looks fantastic as well. And finally, we have the Mackie Pro FX V3 Plus. This is a new, basically they added on the effects. They've got new effects. They've got new ways of recording, like ways of routing, blah, blah, blah. It's one knob compression, EQ, high Z switches. It's basically an upgraded Pro FX board. So
that's funny.
Yeah. Thoughts? Do you think Mackie's going the way of Rode here? Do you think they're getting away from that pro live sound?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think they're trying to diversify their vertical a little bit, try to figure out where they can make some more money. I mean, they continue, but I think that what they're realizing is their products are kind of too reliable. Like like I've got a 1642 beside me that, yeah, I could use a cleaning, but it's been around in it since the late 90s and it's still ticking. It's still ticking fine. I'm going through it right now. And so, I think they're realizing we've sold everything to all the live people. I think we gotta get away from the live people because they don't need us anymore.
It's funny.
Exaggeration, but
one of the comments I got on my Mackie announcement, and this blew me away because it's one of those things that, it's one of those things that I don't understand is everybody's complaining that why not more pro stuff? Why aren't we getting more pro gear from Mackie? Why are they starting to lean into podcasting? Why are they starting to lean into more affordable gear? And I find it interesting that pro is kind of becoming not entry level, but what would be professional 4 years ago, 5 years ago is now kind of almost entry level. But also entry levels, the pricing of entry level stuff, like a DLZ creator is an entry level, but I mean, it's also not 100% professional.
Well, I think also as technology gets better, entry level or what from a cost perspective is entry level. Like, could you cut a good album on a 2i2? Yeah.
Totally. It wouldn't be easy. It'd be a pain in the ass.
I don't know. I think, it's a
you can do stereo with it.
Decent sounding little interface. I mean, yeah, you're going to use a lot of electronic instruments because you're not recording 30 mics at a time. But, at the same time, like, yeah, you could record a vocal for a song, which is that's the minimum, right? Or a guitar through a Focusrite 2i2. That wouldn't be hard to do. You'd need to know what you're doing to make it sound, shimmery and amazing, and you'd probably need some digital tools at your disposal.
Yeah,
other than just stock plugins. But
stock plugins are so gross.
Yeah.
By the way, Matt, I'm using an Sennheiser MKH416.
I'm using a Electro Voice RE27.
So I'm looking at, and like SR375 Pro is an overused label. What is Pro seriously? And it's kind of this expectation that like this professional series is something that if you're serious about it, you'll have this. You're not going to, no self-respecting pro is going to have consumer-based products or prosumer. And this is kind of a misconception, especially nowadays, because there seems to be less of a line. Prosumer, I feel like, is kind of gone. You have the Behringers of this world, and then everybody else. It
I'll,
feels
I'll
like.
give you an example of the audio bougie, right? Because that's basically what this is. This is the bourgeoisie of the audio world. So my Neve 1073 DPX, it didn't come with a manual. It came with no documentation whatsoever, other than like a certificate, like with the safety information. Just like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But as far as how it works, they're like, you better know what you're doing when you buy this. If you don't know what you're doing, don't buy this. That's basically their way of saying that. But do you need that? No, that is kind of, it ends up being like a status symbol in the same way that you don't need an SM7B to run a podcast. But, from a status perspective, if you're a successful podcast, you better have an SM7B. Or that used to be kind of the way that a lot of people thought, I should say. But no, you don't need that stuff. I've got some of that stuff. I did get the job done without it. So I would never ever say that any of these things are an absolute requirement to do stuff, or that anybody should judge you because you don't.
I find it interesting because to me, professional just means you make money at what you're doing, right? So the difference between amateur and pro isn't ability. It isn't anything else. It's like, I'm a professional podcast editor. I make a great deal of money doing it.
Yeah, well, which generally means that you're good at it. I mean, I think that's where the controversy comes. There's
to a degree, but there's a lot of amateurs out there that are fantastic at like, there's a lot of amateur artists who would blow most professional artists out of the water. There's amateur musicians that would blow professional musicians out of the water. And from a gear perspective, professional, just to me, pro just means that you can rely on it. It means that
you make money with it, and so therefore you do it professionally. You need to make money. But I think sometimes because you refer to professional in different areas, right? You refer to it with certain equipment. Like, professional equipment technically needs to be equipment that does not fail. Because if you are using it and you're professional and you're buying a professional piece of equipment, you rely on it to make money. And so it needs to be functional and when it's not functional, it needs to be easy to get back online.
Absolutely. Or at least like readily accessible to get a replacement.
Yeah. Like when we talk about, the look of a product, is like, does this look like it was made by somebody who was paid to do it?
Yeah.
Or does this sound like it was made by like obviously there are things that I do that are professional that I don't get paid for, but I have gotten paid for them. And so, for example, like you and I did the song Hurt. That's a professional mix.
Yeah.
Not because Aiden paid me to mix it, but because I've mixed things as a professional before, gotten paid to do it. And so I'm taking those same skills and bringing
there is a proven, that's a proven title that you get as a professional. You are a professional audio engineer. You start
making money at anything, but you can still be, as Aiden said, you can still be good at something without having the professional word attached. You can still make again, it's a perceptual thing. Does this look like something that would be made by a professional? Sometimes you get that quality from people that aren't technically professionals, but they're still able to attain that professional zenith of quality.
Yeah, I like Liberty Dude. What is a pro? If you went back to 1985 and showed a TV video editor a free DaVinci Resolve program, they would shit their pants.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the new Rode and Mackie budget big mixers are clean audio devices with perks. Budget is another term that I hate because a lot of people get mad at the term budget. I consider the Rodecaster Duo to be a budget mixer.
Yeah.
This is a $500 US mixer. For $500, 10 years ago, you couldn't even get a quarter of the functionality in this mixer.
Yeah.
For $500. Not even a quarter of the functionality. Now you get pretty much the world in this little mixer for $500 US. That's obscene. So when people complain about it, and one of the biggest complaints, and I was talking to Mackie about this, because they watched the video that I did, and they were really impressed and all that stuff. They're like, that's awesome. They didn't ask me to do it. All I did was reach out and say, can I play? But they were like, oh my God, like a lot of the complaints already coming in and people go, I'm like, yeah, you don't even have to release a product to get complaints. And the first thing people are going to complain about is too expensive. And it's like the amount of R&D that goes into something like this, and $500 for all of that usability.
That's not too expensive. Like
prosumer is good enough. Dimebag. I don't even think prosumer is a term anymore. I think we're just coming down to gear now. I think like you can do this isn't like a little bit of foreshadowing for this channel. You can pretty much do anything with a Rodecaster Pro or Rodecaster or the Mackie DLZ Creator. Oh hell yes. I haven't had hands-on with the DLZ XS. I'm guessing it's the same considering they used all of the same stuff for the XS. I don't think there's a product outside of the really, really crappy no-name or Behringer stuff that you're going to struggle with if you want to put out a professional product nowadays. So I don't think pro versus prosumer versus consumer actually is a thing anymore. And that is thanks to Rode and Mackie, I think.
I think part of the problem is it's like, we talked before about the term like broadcast for broadcast, right? And it's these things have boiled down to marketing terms now. Like professional used to mean something. Now, like Jesus, how many like absolute trash products do I have that have pro at the end of the product name? It's like, yeah, okay, totally, yeah, it's definitely a. But I think when the only time when it's serious is when you're referring it to a person with it, like, oh, they're a professional. It's like, okay, well, yeah, that has a certain, but it's saying something is professional. No, that's a thing that companies do to drive sales.
Well, gear can't be pro. Like gear cannot be professional.
How you use it is what makes it pro. Because there's, I mean, again, it's like we talked before about the video that somebody did, like a short film, like a well-known cinematographer did a short film on an iPhone with like $100 budget, and then they gave $10,000 of camera gear to somebody that had no experience, and the cinematographer with the iPhone won because they know how to use this stuff.
Here's with field recording, there's the Sound Devices MixPre versus Scorpio. One's more prosumer, though can be considered low-end professional versus the high-end recorder. But I mean, we're getting to a stage. I haven't used MixPre in a long time. I don't even know what their preamps are like. I know MixPre, I don't know if they've upgraded their preamps in a while. But even Mackie's upgraded their preamps, for crying out loud. But we're getting to a stage with preamps for clean, transparent preamps. I mean, anything over neg 128 EIN is indecipherable. You're not going to be able to hear a difference between neg 127 or neg 128 or neg 130. It's like the transparency of preamps has gotten to the point where what else are we going to upgrade? And I think it is features. I think you're going to see more features. I think you're going to see more of the DSP stuff start to become more readily available, as it has been, but maybe some DSP that's that we can actually have a little bit more control over. I think there's a lot more stuff, but I don't think there's anything separating, prosumer or pro or entry level anymore. This is outside of actual like things to add on.
Yeah,
there's so little of to expand on anymore. Like we're not getting quieter preamps ever. You logically can't go beyond, what is it, neg 133?
Yeah, from a physics perspective, yeah, because like that is literally the noise of temperature. So yes. Unless you're in an absolute zero vacuum, you're going to have some amount of Johnson noise.
Yeah. This is good, Steve. There's still junk level stuff. Yes, I keep saying Behringer.
Yeah.
For a reason. One's no, and it's not meant to shit on Behringer. They are what they are, and there's even shittier stuff.
And more importantly, read the thing we ended with last week's stream. It's nothing about people that buy Behringer stuff either. Nope. Gee, I have a few Behringer things, not many, but I have a few Behringer things in the same way that I have ART stuff. Would I ever suggest anybody buy ART? Probably not.
I've considered it so many times.
Or Presonus. There's another one. Quality control. Not great.
Yeah. For fine, really that good. For microphones, I'm actually really impressed as far as we've come over the last, I'd say 16 months. The mics that would be released that sounded like just hot trash, the really, really cheap garbage that don't even bother. There's some really nice sounding mics coming out, and they're XLR. Fifine is one of them. The problem with a lot of those cheaper microphones is they're being mass produced, so there's no quality control. Like
Yeah,
I got one with the USB that didn't work. And it is what it is. That's what you get for a $40 mic. But goddamn, they sound good. I actually had no issues with that. Then there's other things where you have larger companies like Elgato putting out the Wave DX, and I know I've gotten a lot of heat for that, but it's tuned for like really, really high frequency trash sound. It's just almost piercing. And it's meant to be run through a wave interface, but at least make your mic sound good. You don't have to tune it to a super high frequency. But then again, most people who don't have developed ears tend to prefer stuff with higher frequencies. So I guess they probably know what they're doing in the end. But there is definitely junk level stuff, especially if you don't see a name on something. If you're part of the podcast groups on Facebook, the constant question, somebody will put up a couple links to go, is this stuff any good? And it's all like cheap Amazon garbage or AliExpress garbage. And none of the products have a name on them. It's just like interface, microphone. It's like, woo, yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
That is why budget is in quotes. Budget is in the perspective of one's own wallet size. In theory, the Neumann U87 is a budget mic. Yeah, I guess if you want to look at,
because like business, even multi-million-dollar businesses are on budgets. Like budgets are a normal part of financial literacy. So it's saying something is a budget that's totally subjective. Like what is my budget might be vastly smaller or larger than your budget.
Right. Oh, wow, we got 34 people in the house. Cheers, guys. Welcome to everybody. Make sure you hit like. Okay. Hit the subscribe button while you're at it. Ken, we see you, Ken. By the way, I did notice you message earlier. I saw it, and we didn't get to it because we're actually getting a ton of comments here, which is going to be rough to catch up with. Ken saying the Rode headset microphone is criminally underrated, has made running my live stream sports podcast so much easier without an NT1 in my face. I would say my experience in everything, as soon as I got a mic out of my face, my experience tripled. A nice boom mic, which even Dylan will tell you, using a pencil mic as a boom completely changes the dynamic of your product.
Yep.
I'm using a Sennheiser MKH416 because I've always wanted one. I was getting into voiceover before this kind of thing launched, and this was always my dream mic for voiceover because all of my favorite voiceover artists with voices like mine use this microphone because it's perfect.
It works.
But now that I have it, this is my talking head videos. This microphone is on everything. And if I have a video where there's not a microphone in frame, it's the MKH416. And it has changed my life. And yeah, like the headset microphone, I haven't even gotten a chance to play with it. But yeah, if you can get a microphone out of your face, it's awesome.
Yeah.
There are still people that like to see that microphone. Gamers, I guess, like to have a microphone in frame because it's a status thing, but All right, we got to catch up here because we're way behind. TechMed. Cheers, guys.
Later.
Thanks, TechMed. Cheers, brother. Appreciate the super chat.
Yep.
Tom Watson, first time here for me. Excellent. Welcome, Tom. If there's anybody that's a first timer, I'm going through Neil Jones, XM8500. Neil, I don't mind the XM8500, but I'm also not a big fan. A lot of people swear by it. It is very cheap. So, I mean, take it for what you will. There's nothing going to stop you from trying it out and playing with it. The off-axis rejection is garbage, though. I will say that.
Watch it. Karma is going to make somebody bring up the XM1800.
Oh, God. I still got to give that to you so you can play with it.
No,
See if we
no.
can actually do a product with the XM1800S.
Just to set ourselves up for failure. Let's record like a hurt, but with the XM1800S.
And in the background, one instrument could be the mic itself. All you hear is.
That will really test my mixing skills, as if I can make that sound good.
That would be awesome. Tom Watson, by the way, welcome to the stream, brother. I don't know where you found us, but thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Yeah. So in 1800S, an EQ can fix a lot of things. Do you think you could fix the shittiest mic possible, which I think the worst mic I've used is the 1800S?
I would have to, and this is the thing, right? Is you can use modeling software, you can use like all kinds of different fancy nonlinear tools at your disposal, but at that point, is it really even the same mic anymore?
Yeah, no.
Like, yes. So to that end, I am confident with all of the thousands and thousands of dollars of digital tools in my toolbox that I could fix this and I could make the XM1800S sound really good. I am confident in that, but
I'm going to lend it to you and we're going to try that out.
I'm going to use some black voodoo, I'm going to
I mean, that's a video, dude. I'm doing that because that will be awesome. You are going to want to kill me by the end.
Yeah.
I like it, UK. Can you recommend a small mixer that a Rode NTG3 can connect to and has XLR out that can adjust EQ and compression? XLR out. So you need, why do you need XLR out is the question.
He's so baffled by that.
Well, no, it's because a lot of people that ask for recommendations for a small mixer that a Rode NTG3 can connect to is you're looking for value, I'm guessing. And XLR out does kind of kill value on that. Like, not a lot of mixers for value come with XLR out. If you want, it's not a mixer, Lewitt, because you also want to adjust EQ and compression. That would be something like it's all dusty, but this Lewitt Connect 6, not a mixer, but it is very affordable and it does everything. It's software based though. So all of your stuff will be through software. If you want EQ and compression that's not software based, I guess Mackie, probably the Mackie Pro FX series does have XLR out. I would almost guarantee it. And Mackie is very affordable on their mixers.
Yeah, well, usually the XLR out on Mackie is the mains, unless it's a really small Mackie, in which case they might swap for 1/4 inch. But usually the main outputs on Mackie mixers are XLR out.
But I mean, for it not to be the main out, for it to be something out like you're talking about even more expensive stuff. So
well, no,
I don't know.
Most boards have like main outs, like headphones outs. They have like bus out, like direct outs, and like larger boards. And by like larger, I mean like 12 channels and up kind of thing.
Yep. I use 1/4 inch outs for all my monitors. I don't even.
Usually, when you're in live sound, you use the auxiliary sends. Use those as your monitor output. So if you have 4 monitor outputs, you got 4 different, or if you got 4 different aux sends, you got 4 different monitor feeds. And then in the studio, you usually use it for effects. Although you do that live too, but it's rarer.
Yeah, Dimebag says still like all the DSP built into the Revelator. Revelator is very popular. Much like the Lewitt Connect 6. I mean, it's good. It's very, very similar products between the Lewitt and the Revelator. The Revelator did have a bit more of a learning curve if you really wanted to get into routing. But other than that, it was pretty good. MKH 416, how much? 1,400? No, I bought it used because I'm a Canadian. I bought it from Studio Économique in Montreal.
Yes, my friend.
$8.99. Canadian too. So that's what, $5 American? No, it's about, I bought it for about, I think 700 Canadian American. So very, very worth it. Okay, we're running behind again. We just cannot keep up, guys. If you really, really want us to hit us, maybe at Dark Corner Studios would be a good way to do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to skip over some of this. We got Bobby Stenhouse. Hello from Bobby in Scotland.
Hi.
And all of Scotland saying hi. My first time listening. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Bobby, welcome to the stream, brother. I'm gonna say because of that video earlier this week, I think we're gonna have a lot of new people in. If you're new here, say hi. We try as hard as we can on these live streams to chat with everybody that we can.
We're only human.
What's that?
We're only human. We're gonna miss.
As we get bigger and as we get more people in here, at about the 25 people mark, it gets really hard to keep up, and it's nothing. It's nothing against y'all. It is really, really difficult to catch them all. So if you really desperately want us to actually, if you want us to actually hit your comment, make sure you at Dark Corner Studios. We got one Liberty Dude. Hi. Okay, wave back, Dylan. Wave back.
Hi.
Wave at Liberty Dude. Okay, there we go. Half price microphone. Lewitt. Guillerm Schneider. Guillerm, am I saying that right? Guillerm. Hello, do you think the AI market will ever develop in a small enough factor that some interfaces might start using them for improving voice over streaming quality?
Possible. It is possible.
Yes.
That is something. Those are the kinds of things that we do talk about.
Yeah, I believe, yes. There is already AI being used as Discord, or Descript uses it for like a studio sound, quote unquote.
It's interesting though, the idea of that being baked into an interface, like preloaded kind of thing. That would be interesting to see. I know Shure was toying with the idea for like a MV7 kind of update to actually sort of, but it's whether that's baked into the mic or baked into the software, but essentially the same thing. AI baked into the software that runs the mic. And so, like, yeah, I think that'd be kind of neat to have a product with that integrated.
That would be interesting. I think that like companion software is becoming more and more ubiquitous with products. I think a lot more stuff is coming with even the cheap shit. Like what was it? That really crappy mic I reviewed.
Was it Maono or?
Oh, the Maono. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. God, I lose track of what they are. The Maono even had companion software. And I think as AI becomes integrated in more stuff, I think the companion software is going to be more of a, hey, do you want to play with these sliders or do you just want to hit this button? And a lot of people are just going to hit the button.
100%.
We got Borscast from Hungary. I know some Hungarian. I dated a girl who was Hungarian and Polish. Her dad was Hungarian and hated me. So I started learning Hungarian to figure out what he was saying about me, and that man had a very bad potty mouth.
Oh,
I learned some stuff. Oh, Hungarian insults are some of the most wow factor insults I've ever heard in my life.
Like,
when you translate them, props to Hungarian insults, man. Props to Hungarian insults. Cheers, brother. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining. Dimebag, please like the hit. I think that's drop a like. I appreciate that. Mike Bauer. I did promise I was going to say hi to everybody. Mike Bauer from New York City. How's it going, Mike?
And more
FNS Wrestling, fellow Canadian friend of Barks, catching you live for the first time, but I've watched your content for years, and I'm only listening right now since you two were talking about that recently. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
I appreciate that. Is the Connect 6 better than the IO24 in my opinion, but it's more, and at $99 US you can't beat the IO24. Probably. Dylan. Oh, Matt wants to know, do you think old mics, oh, break my heart, Matt, like the SM7B or the RE20 ever get outdated?
No.
I
think a good sounding thing, again, like the Neve 1073, which I just bought, it's an old design. It's a design by a guy who is dead now. Literally. But I think in the same way that, like, you know, you could say the same about like classical art pieces. Like if something artistically resonates with a lot of people, or as a tool proves itself to be useful, I mean, ain't a lot of shit been done with the shovel in the last 100 years, you know?
Right.
It's if it works well, it works well. And I think something that sounds good from an analog, because analog, you know, voltages and stuff, and it's not even analog, it's more our subjective interpretation of what is good and bad, right?
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
obviously.
if you see, you know, whatever your, you know, sexual orientation is, you see a picture of an attractive person, doesn't really matter how old the picture is. You know, you can generally across multiple generations, you know, 100 years ago, you could have picked out an attractive person in a crowd with, you know, those standard characteristics. And so I think that subjectivity, you know, translates over to the technology that we use, especially artistically.
Yeah. Okay. A couple. TechMed's going to bed. Good night, TechMed.
Fine.
You're probably not seeing this, but cheers. Have a good night's sleep. We didn't talk about anything. I do have an announcement coming before the end of the stream, by the way. Hassan says, "Good day from Canberra, Australia." Cheers, man. Marlo, greetings from Tokyo. Cheers, Marlo. Appreciate that. Liberty
Cheers.
Dude, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. The question is, will new users be aware when AI, like it is with onboard effects and presets, are hurting their finished products? Dylan, now you use AI in your job with your production.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible you can fuck up AI so badly? You can go too heavy with it. What do you think is the possibility here?
Pretty high. Like right now, pretty high. Like I would say when I use AI as just a throw it at the wall, see if it fixes my problem. I don't use AI creatively. I literally use AI to, in it for most of the time, it's to either separate something out of track, or it's to fix a problem. Getting rid of something that sounds bad, right? Getting rid of an airplane going overhead in a voiceover, like stupid shit like that. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it does more harm than good.
I
I
would,
find
I
Descript
would,
in particular, Descript tends to shit the bed. When you, sorry, Descript. But if you feed in, so it has a tool in Descript called Studio Sound, which is an
yeah.
AI, you know, fix your borked audio and make it sound good. Studio Sound, if you want to really fuck with it, put in audio that came from a studio.
It doesn't know what to do.
It literally starts looking for shit that isn't there. Like that's so absolutely. And even sometimes I fed in stuff that I didn't think was that good quality, but it made it worse. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, moving on. Something that's more like RX, spectral denoise, is machine learning, which is like really primitive AI. It's, you know, where the computer kind of looks at information it's being submitted and adapts when you tell it to. And so Isotope has integrated some of that in their plugins. I know, Aiden, you were messing around with Ozone. I'm not sure what generation of Ozone, but
6, I think, or
did you try using the mastering assistant?
yes. No, not the assistant. Wouldn't even know. Like I played with it a bit. I threw it in just to see what happened. And I'm like, I don't know.
And so that mastering assistant isn't AI because it doesn't apply knowledge that it's learned from it doesn't aggregate that information. It just kind of basically looks at the parameters you tell it to shoot for. It has a predefined template of what those parameters should look like, and then it measures and adjusts accordingly. That's machine learning. AI would be it determining its own templates. And using that to measure against your product and learning new and exciting ways of, and you know, unless Isotope updates the model, it won't learn anything.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and it can be quite useful. I use spectral denoise. Generally, I know what, you know, because spectral denoise is just a high resolution gate. That's all that it is. And so, or at least the voice denoise. I know you've used that, right?
Yeah.
And it's a little different. But
it's actually very similar to spectral, but voice denoise is meant to work around your voice. Spectral is meant to work around and removing, like, you know, you bump the boom arm or something. Spectral's very good for that.
Well, and even like, again, like, you know, sort of carving out a noise profile, and it's more precise than voice, because the voice side, it works more generally. It kind of looks for a voice and then adaptively moves around it. Whereas, you know, if you know how to use spectral denoise, you know, maybe doing a video on that. There's several videos on YouTube.
Yeah, I would watch your video on spectral denoise, dude.
It's one of those things, like I try AI for, you know, if there's a problem, I'm like, hey, this is not a compressor or an EQ problem. This is a deeper nonlinear problem.
Right.
And I will throw AI at it first to see, hey, just let's try the easy method first. And then if that fails, then I move on to RX. And if RX fails, maybe I'll use a combination of the two, and then maybe some deeper surgery with other tools like EQ, multi-band EQ, mid-side EQ, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So really quick, before we go, a couple things. Midnight Wolf AI might be better than 32-bit float was when I messed with it. Probably. 32-bit float's not ready to be absorbed by the masses, I don't think yet.
Nope.
And Ken, I just wanted to point this out. 14 months sober, by the way. Retired life is great, but my golf game is absolute shit. Congratulations, dude. That's amazing. I'm 3 weeks quitting smoking. I don't smoke. I'm a non-smoker now.
Oh,
It's
shit.
so weird to think.
That is weird to think. I did not know. I didn't even know that.
So the announcement, by the way, is I'm going to be at NAB, NAB show in Las Vegas in April. I actually offered Dylan because I got press credentials for it. They messaged me back. You give them all your information, like channel, belt buckle size, all that stuff. And they put you through a grinder and they find out whether or not you're going to be good enough for press. Now I was waiting and I was thinking they just ignored me because I'm like too small cookie. They're not even going to bother with me. So I went and I bought a ticket for NAB because I was just going to show up in my camera and screw it. Let's record stuff.
Yep.
But then they got back to me. So I have a spare ticket that I was going to offer. If I can change the name on it, I'm probably going to give it to Dylan if Dylan wants to come. If not,
I'll see. I'll see if I can score any time off, because I mean that's something from a work standpoint. I may be able to make like a business case for that. In terms of like, hey, this is a useful industry thing.
But then they would buy you. Wouldn't they pay for a ticket for you to get in?
Well, we'll see.
Okay, maybe you can butter it up if you have an extra ticket.
I'll see. Especially, I'll see.
If NAB is going to be anything like NAM is right now, and NAM is something I do want to go to. There's a lot of performances. NAM looks like an awesome party. I think I might be shooting for NAM and NAB next year, but this year we're only doing NAM or NAB. So that's going to be a week of content. There's going to be a ton of stuff that's coming out of that. You guys got to let me know what you want to see. I'm obviously going to be there on the floor. So when something gets announced, I'm going to be hands-on with it if it's being announced at NAB. Also, I get to meet some of the company officials that I've been working with over the past few years. Some of the people I've been, I don't know I think Rode may have somebody. Usually Rode gets like B&H or somebody like that to kind of represent them at these shows, but you never know. I mean, Australia is far away from Las Vegas. Like it is really far away from Las Vegas. So hopefully that's going to be, I've never been to NAB, but from what I've heard from, because I've come from the broadcasting side and I know a lot of radio people, they do like this, like we're going to learn stuff at NAB, and then they end up just going in and they have like after parties and stuff, which I bought a ticket to the after party, Dylan, by the way.
Nice.
So we are going, if you come, we are going to that. The wife and kid are coming too, eh? They're going to be going off and doing their own thing though. They're not coming to NAB. They're going to Grand Canyon shit. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun, and we're going to be doing videos while we're there, just so you know. So okay, cool. That's it for us though. Stay tuned for that. Hit me up down below in the comments if there's stuff you want to see us do at NAB. Let me know. I'm kind of curious. Bobby, thank you very much. Bobby Stenhouse, 499 pounds. I appreciate that, brother. Have yourself a great week, guys, and we'll see you next Friday for the next live stream. We do have a video on Monday. We're covering the OC series of microphones from Austrian Audio. That's coming out Monday. That's been a fun video that I've been putting together for the past few days. So have yourself a great week, and we'll see you then.